Usually in my videos I find it easier to talk about my life as an excuse for talking, simply because it's the easiest thing that I can do. But every so often there's various social issues that I feel compelled to comment on, and the latest one was sparked by a report that 10% of those over the age of 13 are being prescribed antidepressants on a regular basis. Now, I'm not a doctor, not a psychologist, so can't really comment factually on this, but it seems to me that's a very high percentage, and I can't help but wonder if it's just the easy way out to prescribe a medication as opposed to tackling the core issues of a problem. I'll get on to this a bit later, but the way my mind works went flashing back through a few other things that I'd heard and read, and one of them, the song by the Rolling Stones, which I believe was released in 1966, is called Mother's Little Helper, and it referred to those who take Valium on a regular basis as a means to escape the pressures of daily life. Valium, looking at my notes here, also marketed under the name of diazepam. Of course, it's not the first and only time in recorded history that people have taken various drugs, medications, etc. to escape realities. Probably from the dawn of time, someone has found something that has given them what they call the buzz. But it's rather interesting as we go through the 19th century, and you might say a childhood hero of mine, Sherlock Holmes. Because at the time I wasn't conscious of what was going on, but he would regularly inject, or to use the more recent terminology, shoot up laudanum. Laudanum, you'll find, was put in a whole variety of medications sold at the drugstores, etc. But laudanum is still on the market, but under the name of tincture of opium. It was a painkiller and cough suppressant in its day, also prescribed for such ailments as diarrhea and other bodily upsets, and was actually considered quite normal and acceptable, possibly one of the reasons being that the active ingredients were much lower than might be more common use today for those who want that really big buzz. But no one even thought about the harmful side effects. But then again, this comes from an era of medicine when leeches and bleeding and all sorts of other weird so-called cures were used. So, if this laudanum or opium did the trick or appeared to do the trick, then I guess it was considered to be effective. But another interesting one from the so-called medicinal side was the use of cocaine, also in low dosage, and again it was added to a whole variety of medicines, or perhaps we might call them folk medicines today. And even Coca-Cola started off being offered as a medicinal drink. The active ingredient of cocaine was used in it from its invention in 1891 and was finally dropped in 1903. Even though the name Coca-Cola still survives. But it's just interesting when you look on the bottle, you look on the label, you will see them proudly proclaiming original recipe. Well, original recipe of what, I don't know, but unless I've been shopping in the wrong store, I haven't found any Coca-Cola that has the active ingredient of cocaine in it these days. There's a funny little email that goes around with pictures saying, no wonder our great-grandparents were happier than we were. And they actually go through, with pictures, a whole list of these medications that contained cocaine and heroin, and with the usual proclamations of how good they were for you and how recommended they are. But this all goes through what I said about the mother's little helper, or the use of antidepressants. I was wondering if people prefer to try and escape dealing with the problem, pretending it's not there, rather than tackling the root cause of the problem, or perhaps even examining it and finding that it isn't even a problem at all. This in part is illustrated by a famous little story of the farmer whose donkey fell down a very deep and narrow crevasse. Realizing that he couldn't rescue the donkey, he decided to call in all his friends, and they started shoveling earth into the hole with the aim of just burying the donkey. Well, the donkey was smarter than most people might give them credit for, and with each spadeful of earth stepped up until finally was able to get out of the hole himself by standing on top of all the earth. The conclusion to this story, of course, is that when there's troubles thrown at us in life, we can either let them bury us, or we can step on them and rise upwards. Now, that isn't to say that of course, that there aren't problems in life. Yes, there are problems. The question, how do we deal with them? How do we grow from them? And how do we become better and stronger people as a result? I'm not going to give out any pat answers. Just perhaps throwing out a few stories and a few little jokes. You're probably also familiar with the little joke that money can't buy you happiness, but some people still feel that if they're going to be unhappy, they'd rather be unhappy in a Rolls Royce than in a Mini. But the real secret also is to be happy with one's lot, as has been said many times. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't strive for more, strive to better ourselves. But if we're unhappy merely because of the lack of possessions, then we should be taking a long, hard look at our lives and thinking about the true nature of what happiness is.